Hello, and welcome back to Rimworld. In my adventures of recording, I had actually forgotten that this existed. So... Oh yeah, he was fending off a capybara. I stopped playing, that is, when I realized that over the course of my spring break, when I came back, I recorded an episode without realizing that the reason I stopped recording the previous episode before that was that there's a crashed poison ship. So this episode hopefully will be able to take care of that. I still can't double click. Please. Alright. We're gonna essentially try to attract their attention, and then they'll have to come through this trap-infested area. And we will have a very strong defensive position behind that. Now hopefully it'll take not so long to actually attract their attention. I remember last time we tried this. Ah, good, we have a first hit. That's actually really, really good. So they're gonna hang out around here. Ah, nice shot again. Maybe they'll be killed by the mortars, in which case their deaths will actually cause additional explosions, which will chain react and do a lot of damage as well. In the meantime, we'll keep expanding, and I will keep telling you guys about how my day has been going. So, when I woke up this morning, it was about noon, because I went to bed very late last night, because I didn't have any reason really not to. Tonight I'll be taking melatonin to make sure that I get the proper amount of sleep that I am required, and so that I can wake up in the morning and be totally fine to go to school. Because my classes start at 11, I have tennis then, and then I go to Japanese afterward. So I like to wake up around 9 so I can get a shower, make myself breakfast and lunch, and then be ready to go. Pardon me? Still need that push to mute button. I'm working on it. Promise. In the meantime, once I had gotten up, I took a shower, and then I started a homework assignment that you might find interesting to hear about. It's for a class called Seminar in Intelligent Systems, but we don't really go into all that much about AI, to my disappointment. What we actually do is we talk about puzzles, and different means of solving them, in a computational mindset. So, if you know what a backtracker is, you'll be familiar with some of the things that we're learning. If you're not familiar with what a backtracker is, it's sort of like, imagine you're in a maze, and you're trying to follow the left hand... Oh yeah, the explosions aren't big, so they won't be all that demonstrable. But anyway, imagine you're trying to get through a maze, and what you do is you follow the left wall, and you do that until you reach a dead end, and then you just keep going. If you follow the left wall, you will guaranteed solve any two-dimensional maze, like a corn maze, for example. It's totally foolproof, I should say, because if, in the worst-case scenario, you just traverse the entire maze, in the worst-case scenario being it takes you the entire maze to find the exit, following the left-hand rule, but you will find it. Generally, in computation, we try to avoid those sorts of algorithms. Should not be over here. Can you shoot? I'm gonna have you equip a gun. Generally, in computation, you try to avoid those sorts of rules, or those sorts of practices, those sorts of algorithms, because they tend to be very inefficient. What you try to do instead is you observe different aspects about the problem, and say, well, I know this about what I'm trying to do. How about if maybe I can use the clues that I'm given to try an intuitive human-style approach, a heuristic, if you will. That's just one approach. There are other ways you can actually evaluate, well, out of all the things I know, here's the best option, and do that. If you had a self-driving car, for example, you probably wouldn't want to use all that many heuristics. We need another shift for our gunners. Because if you're in a self-driving car, it's very bad if you if you're designing a self-driving car, you know, the AI for a self-driving car, it's very bad if it makes a bad guess and turns into something that is not actually a road, for example. If you're still intent on hauling, I'm actually going to assign you to gun. This is why you have to kind of keep close watch over your colonists, because for that reason. They do not know where is dangerous and where is not dangerous. Actually. And because of that reason, they'll go and try to do jobs over here, if there are jobs over here, without really checking to make sure. This is another AI heuristic. Of the jobs available, which one do I want to do? That's a prioritization and optimization problem. And I hate mortars. At any rate, there's no... Right now, currently in Rimworld, at the time of this recording, there's no heuristic that says, or no guideline that says, hey, this area is within the range of enemies that are relatively stationary. Avoid this entire area, and if you cannot get to a job without going through this area, avoid that job temporarily. Put it like on the very back end of your priorities, and disable it. That's a feature that I would really like to see, either as a mod or in the actual base game. Another mod I would like to see is accurate mortars. To be honest, guys, this is really bad timing. For you and for me. I don't know what route they're going to take. What I am going to do is I'm going to get everyone ready. To make sure that we can actually mount a force against this, if need be. And it should be easy because shields are overpowered, and I recognize that. This game is not... It's expressly a challenge for me. As in, like, I'm guaranteeing that it won't be a challenge because I intend not to play it optimally because I'm going to be talking the entire time. We're taking a route. So they're gonna be actually aggro. Yeah, so this is perhaps not the greatest time. But it's great for me. Yeah, wow. So, yeah, I'm gonna say that pretty much not someone that's exactly worth saving. But I will have Nicolay capture this person. Then everyone else can go to bed. Shame that they didn't kill any of the other guys, though. Now, if we can get to this person before he bleeds out, which is going to be in about a day, then we might, but the problem is that his stats are not great. He's going to mentally break all the time. Like, his mental break threshold is about glass half empty. So... yeah, I'm going to disable... I'm going to set area 1. I believe that excludes that. Yeah. Anyway, where was I? We were talking about optimization algorithms, different ways to have your computer say, well, here's how I'm going to try to evaluate the situation I'm in and make a decision. And it doesn't have to be super complex in the sense that you could make an AI that only evaluates based on weighted probabilities, for example. Given these conditions, like maybe a civilization, if you're familiar with those games, let's say you have a game board and there are resources on the board, and you want to try to build cities around those resources. And it gets more complex than that, but that's the gist of it. So you can say, well, I have these cities, I can figure out which one is the best, but I can also, if I'm designing a game AI, make it so that the computer doesn't always make the best decision, even though it technically could figure out, well, here's the best decision, and then you just say randomly make a decision that's plausible, but not actually the best. That's one example. When you get into really complex things, including deep learning, is generally with teaching computers how to take these simple heuristics and solve a much more complex problem with situations and stimuli that are not extremely identifiable. Oh, undraft you. And you can probably go to bed. For example, if you're trying to develop an AI for a fighting game, what you might want to do is... Oh, is someone getting shot at? Oh my god. You think you would learn. Hard to find good help these days. So, I lost my train of thought and I apologize. But, oh yeah, if you're trying to make an AI for a fighting game, for example, you're probably going to want an AI that can react to new strategies. Maybe you don't, but let's say that you do. Then you might want an AI that reacts to the strategies of the person you're playing against. This character tends to use this sort of move. This move isn't always good in every situation, but it's better against this type of strategy. I'm abstracting a bit because these are abstract problems that require very advanced algorithms, pardon me, require very advanced algorithms to solve relative to the normal problem. Ah, here we go. Alright, so we can then go out. You're done, you've done your part. These people are sleeping. You go capture this person. Hopefully it's not looking good. And in the meantime I'll have Raymond go and melee this thing to death because these guys are all gone. Yeah, I'm actually gonna say no, for the reason being that they're gonna just blow up my bed. Sorry. Oh, volcanic winter. Ah, great. So we're going to buy and not sell food. So while he's hammering at this, what we're learning in Puzzles for Computing is generally puzzles, first of all, and we are learning about simple algorithms. Am I ready for a more advanced class? Possibly. Am I engaged in the class that I'm taking currently? Yes. Do I think it's kind of strange that I'm taking a class about puzzles in a computer science major, and this being one of the purportedly one of the more difficult or more enrichment level classes you could take? I am a little bit confused. That's okay though. The homework that I did this morning was there was an assignment 2 weeks ago that said, well, you have to design a puzzle. Well, it was 3 weeks ago actually. You need to design a puzzle unique that doesn't exist already, or at least not that you know of. That was a really poor haul. And then you need to give me some examples of that, me being the teacher. Give the teacher some examples of the puzzle that you created. And I got a 96 because one of my examples was totally busted, and that blows. But then since everyone in the class did this assignment and we're not all making the same puzzles, the assignment for this morning was, well, hey, take these other people's puzzles and solve them. And then give feedback to the teacher and not to those people, because sometimes feedback can be harsh, if you're going to be honest. And you have to say, well, here's what this person did right, and here's what this person did poorly, with regards to puzzle design and creation. I believe that I provided pretty good feedback considering I had to go over 5 different puzzles, and this includes solving them, and some of them I tried to pick ones that I wouldn't get endlessly frustrated about, but there were some that were a little bit more difficult. And you might be saying, well, why is a teacher assigning you to do puzzles that, if they're designed poorly, might be impossible? And you only have to try, and if you can say, well, this is insolvable, I'm pretty sure, then no one's going to really get in a huff about that. The teacher would be like, okay, well, that's fair, considering it was a very difficult puzzle. I didn't run into that because I'm a god at puzzles. I'm just kidding. I'm actually awful at puzzles, and I really don't enjoy them all that much, to be honest with you. At least not classical puzzles. So, who are you? Young psychologist. Geladon was born and raised on a poor midworld in the front passenger seat of his mother's cab. Watching pedestrians and listening to the taxi passengers all day long, he soon became very good at figuring out someone's real purpose. Right? Early in his adulthood, Geladon found himself surrounded by a gaggle of lowlives. For fun, he gathered them and led them to a certain death. Okay. He knew then that he had the talent to realize his ambitions of leadership. Whoever wrote this bio doesn't exactly understand the fact that you need to actually lead people to good. And it's much easier, in fact, to lead people to good than to lead them to bad. Maybe there's more to this. You can imagine a situation where you're surrounded by these lowlives, but you convince them, hey, they're like a menace to your community, but you like gain their favor, and then you lead them into like a sting operation that somehow results in them all being imprisoned, and in this case dying. Maybe it could be justified, but this guy sounds like he's not a great dude, and he's also a pessimist and he's a fast walker. I hate fast walkers, just kidding, fast walkers are great, but it's not worth the brawler pessimist because I can't put him with ranged weapons. Sorry, ranged weapons. So once he's healed, I'm just going to ransom him. Because we don't have much food anyway, and we're kind of hitting our soft cap on the colonists we can have. And honestly, we should probably be growing more food as it is. I'm going to switch this to food production. This guy has more things that he's not than he is. Not extroverted, not creative, not upbeat, not organized. Yeah, this guy is like nothing. Weird. So that's what I spent this morning doing. And I had a pretty good time of it, I'd like to say. I had a few puzzles that were not exactly up to my expectations of how difficult they would be. And I hope that doesn't translate into a lower grade because I picked easier puzzles. I tried to pick puzzles, like I said, that I wouldn't be endlessly frustrated by. That's not always possible, but sometimes it is. Oh, poor kitchen bot. When the power's out, I actually can't cook, and that's one of the downsides, but there's not all that much to cook anyway, so it's not a big... And I'm going to turn off storage, because we cannot afford it. Right now, we need to stockpile food, but fertilize it. We can turn it into fertilizer, that is. We're gonna need a lot more. Other things I did this day, I played a lot of Starbound at my friend's place, Tori. Great guy. I was doing my best to figure out the mod that I'm playing. And you may be asking, well, how about you just show us? Because you're going to record anyway. You play a lot of Starbound, you record a lot of gameplay. Well, I considered recording Starbound, but the problem is that I spend half my time Googling what I'm going to do, like what everything does, and then thinking about, well, how am I going to do it then? I know what I'm trying to do. How do I actually, you know, do it in the way that would... Okay, can you be ransomed? Oh, we have a combat supplier. We should at least look at them. If we can. And then the other half is thinking, well, how do I actually architecture this? Oh, there's so much medicine. We can build hospital beds with this. We need medicine. As much as we can get. We need medicine a lot more than we need components right now. It's not at a bad price either. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to build actual hospital beds. And that should, at least for now, keep us. So that we can actually have beds, you know, that are capable of healing people. That's gonna be real good. Like, what's the bonus for this? Much more immunity gain speed. Too bad the quality is low, but rest isn't as important. We make like a steel dresser, like a filing cabinet. It's all about the aesthetic, if you weren't aware. And then a granite dresser. That'll be alright. Is it rotted? Ah. During the power outage. Sucks. Rusty. Who are you from? You're from the Face Beaters of Death? All them? Demand ransom. Ransom. Alright, so we got a lot of money. That's why I love that mod. Other than that, I didn't do all that much today. I came home, I made myself mashed sweet potato with a garnish of onion, corn, garlic, fresh garlic, and some spices. That was nice. It's actually sitting right here beside me because I haven't eaten it all yet. It's very filling. And then I decided, well, I should record some gameplay. You know, a little bit of a journal. To continue the tradition. And make sure that I'm always having something up on my YouTube channel. I try, like I may have mentioned this in a video that I later deleted because it was terrible. But my goal with this channel is to have one video up a day. These videos will not always be contiguous in the terms of, like, say I can't record on Thursday, then I'll record 2 on Wednesday so that I'll have something to put up on Thursday, right? Try to keep a backlog that's a week in advance, as long as I have things to talk about. I'll probably spend another episode talking about, well, here's another thing about the Seattle trip that I wanted to mention. You know, while it's still fresh in my mind, keep the memories alive. Talk to myself for a half hour about how my life is going. There are worst ways to spend an hour. And then if I record 2 a day, as I can, then I will gradually extend my backlog. Who knows how long it will grow. But that's just insurance to make sure that the people who watch the channel, if they choose to follow it, they have something to watch and be entertained. I did buy XCOM 2. I bought it on sale. I may have mentioned this in the previous episode, so yes, we will see that. It's probably the next series I'm going to go into. I'm doing a trial run right now. And we're going to make some cool characters based on people that are in my real life. But if I can avoid it, I will not tell you which ones are based on people from the real life and which ones are just randomly generated by the XCOM. So you'll also see my showcase of ridiculous mods. Hopefully I'll be able to get the one that keeps making my game crash off my game, because it's not very fun. I imagine a lot of people don't have this approach, where you get a game, and it has mods, so the first thing you do, without even playing the base game, is you go really heads first into the mods. Maybe you have to be a computer scientist to be that crazy. I'm sure there are people that aren't computer scientists that do that, but it's a very computer sciencey mindset, I believe, to like say, hey, I haven't even experienced what this is yet, let's break it. And that seems to be very consistently what happens. That's what's happening with Rimworld. I barely played the base game before I was like, man, this, and this needs improving. So I went to the workshop and says, oh, there's a mod for this, and this. Worked out pretty alright. Buy more medicine from him, but we don't really have the capital. Now, the most important turret, I think, in the game is the Vulcan cannon. I'll probably put it here, in the flax pile. Do I even have any flax? I feel like we've never had one successful flax crop. I don't know why. Oh, is there... No, that's just because it's night. Like, legit night. But, yeah, we'll be thinking about that. Different ways to make sure the colony grows at a certain pace. Plans for the colony? Literally run it into the ground as fast as possible because I hate this game. Just kidding. I will probably do some risky things in terms of The plan is to get something settled here and then send like half the colonists out to find the end game. Whatever it is. I'll pull up the world. This is the last thing I'm going to do this episode, is I'm going to see if I can locate in a minute or two the actual goal of the game. There's a spaceship, I believe the spaceship off this rock, and it is somewhere across the world. So we're here, bottom of this. There are lots of faction bases, because the world is absolutely gigantic. This should be like a flag icon, right? I hope so. Otherwise I'll never find it. Even when I need to. Oh, here it is, right here. That's the journey destination. So, I'm here. I think. No, wait. I'm here? Yeah, I'm here. So I'm here, and I need to get to here. So what's a route that I could actually take to get there? Because I'm pretty sure I can't catapult over to get to there. I have to go all the way over here, around this area, across the ice sheet, and then I can get over there. Or I could go through all these jungles, up and over this world. No, I still have to pass through an ice sheet though. So like the only way actually is to go through an ice sheet. There's literally no other way besides using boats, and I don't think boats exist yet. Yeah, that's it's pretty messed up. You're not gonna lie. I don't know how I'm gonna actually feasibly do that. I'll have to get some pack animals, and well, we'll discuss this in another episode if it does come to pass. Maybe I'll just install a mod that allows me to build a boat, because that would be a lot more practical. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Remember to take care of yourself, and have a good night.